How difficult will it be for the Fed to stick that soft landing in your view?
The Fed has always had a hard time doing it. But now, because Congress has such high and unreasonably high expectations about what the Fed can do, they've expanded the Fed's mission. The mission creep is really accelerated. We've gone to expanding full employment to mean inclusive full employment. And now we're also worried about price stability. And on top of that, we're putting climate change and addressing income distribution on top of that. So the Fed is really being put in between a rock and a hard place. And the fear that I have is that up until now, Chair Powell has been very quiet about what the Fed's limitations are. It has accepted in the new framework that we're going to have much more inclusive employment goals. But now markets are saying we're way behind on inflation. And my fear is that the Powell is going to be much more sensitive to these cries to do something and do something quickly, that we will repeat the mistakes of the past. Too much, too soon.
It sounds like you're worried that the Fed is going to play the political game in a way with this. I mean, certainly in recent weeks, we've heard more and more people talk about inflation, about the, higher prices at the grocery store and at the pump, et cetera, et cetera. It's a real Main Street issue, obviously, Bill. And you think the Fed gets pulled into all of that?
The Fed has always resisted political pressures in the past and has always remained apolitical. But now that Chair Powell has been reappointed, I hope he can go back to that stance that has been the hallmark of Fed history. But I'm afraid that these cries from the marketplace and the cries from Main Street are carrying the Fed in two different directions. And right now, the Fed has credibility. The 5 years and inflation expectations as measured in the bond markets are rock solid stable. The 5 years are about 2.2%, and they've been that way since June. And that means that markets have confidence the Fed is in the game and able to control inflation. What I'm not sure of is the overreaction. If they do something, the markets may take it as an overreaction. And that may cause these expectations to become unanchored if they don't do enough. And if they do too much, given today's retail sales, they may actually crash the economy.
What is enough in your view? What is the right balance?
I'm expecting Chair Powell to take a very strategic approach and say we're accelerating the pace of tapering, and we are going to start to increase rates. And the number of rate increases and how fast we're doing it will depend on the incoming data. The key trick is, will he be able to embrace the dot plots, which surely will show more rate increases, or is he going to say the traditional answer, which is these are individual Fed members' opinions?
What is your view of what the economy does next year? And I'm asking you that with the view that the yield curve is telling us something different from what the Fed is telling us in terms of 10-year yields coming down in the past month, indicating maybe a question mark about future growth, and the Fed saying the economy is going to run hot.
Great question. I think everyone is so convinced that inflation is so hot because current aggregate demand exceeds the supply side crimped shortages. We have clearly messed up in forecasting how quickly the shortages will be alleviated, but the demand certainly is very strong. And I think the Fed needs to address that. That's why they're going to accelerate tapering. And the rate increases going back to normal, as the Fed has always said, is about 2.5%. But when will you get there? Will you get there in 5 years, or will you get there in 3 years? And right now, the fear is that the Fed will accelerate that pace of going to that 2.5% at a faster pace, and that could actually crimp the economy.
All right, Bill, great to speak with you. Thank you.